Good evening, everyone. Hopefully you can hear me. It has been a while since I did a solo stream. Some of you might remember I used to do the team selection videos, and then I got depressed with those, making those with my rank so bad, so I stopped doing them. I should still be doing them, really. I mean, the whole idea of BlackBox was to, it all started when I was having a bad season and what I could do to correct it and things like that. But it's just been so rough the last few years that doing it with someone's always been nice, but doing it on my own just felt a bit painful. So haven't really done too many of my own streams, but yeah, I definitely enjoy doing a stream with someone else. Obviously, Mark's in the chat. Hello to Mark. Mark Southern 6583. That's one of his many burner accounts, isn't it? But hi, Mark. Obviously, missing Mark on the channel quite a lot, but enjoying the streams with Andy and Luke when he shows up. I'm really enjoying the late tackles as well, actually. It's been really nice, the different people we've had on there. I know Andy had FPL Meerkat the other day, which was really cool. I've had Sam on the channel, her first BlackBox. We've had FPL Nightmare. Obviously, Slippers came on. So, yeah, the late tackle stuff and getting people on is really nice. And, it's good to see a lot of people now slowly turning their seasons around and getting into the top 500k and everything like that. And hopefully that's the direction my season's going to go in, because it was a pretty good week. This week up to 2.6 million, the heady heights of 2.6 million. But 2 weeks ago I was 5 million. So it's been 2 chips deployed. We'll talk about them in a bit. I mean, the bench boost was a disaster, but at least it's over with. The free hit, yeah, I'll show you in a sec. It went pretty well. It went okay. I know there's people out there not on free hits. I know there's people out there with 30, 40 points. A bit envious. I'm a bit annoyed with some of the decisions I made on the free hit. But yeah, we can talk through those in a bit. Do I think free hitters were lucky this week? That seems to be a lot of what the community's talking about. I think it was the combination, right? I do genuinely think that it was the best week. If you had the free hit left going into last week, it was the best week to use it between now and the end of the season. And I said that multiple times to whoever I was talking about. I couldn't see another week where I thought there could be such good upside. And the main reasons for that were City playing Arsenal, Arsenal playing Chelsea, sorry, and Palace playing United. And I had 8 out of 11 players playing in those 2 fixtures. So it was a bit of a godsend for me having the free hit chip, because I really, really, really didn't like my team. And the free hits massively paid off. And obviously there'll be some people out there who had Thiago already in place. Maybe they could get to Foden quite easily. Maybe their teams looked all right. I can understand why you wouldn't use it. But I do think for a lot of people who were stocked up on those players, it made a lot of sense. So I couldn't really understand all the people saying, this is a stupid week, everyone's copying each other, blah, blah, blah. It's like, well, a lot of us have got Palace, United, Arsenal, Chelsea players. So if you've got 7 or 8 from those teams, it's clearly the best week to use it. If you don't have it, then it's obviously not the week to use it. I mean, the perfect storm as well, I mean, in terms of the results. I mean, there's a lot of investment in Aston Villa, in Brentford, in Man City, and they all came in. Liverpool as well, if you pick the right players, not like I did. Those are the teams that everyone backed, and they backed them because they were playing the worst teams in the league. West Ham, Leeds, Burnley. These are bottom of every metric that you look at. So if you free hit into decent teams, and Brentford, Villa are decent teams, it's not like you're free hitting into Burnley and West Ham players. You're freeing against them. There was always chance of it going well, and I think the results of that have shown that. I think it was a good week. I think it was a good outcome, and then I think what really hurt people was no Palace clean sheet, no Arsenal clean sheet, Haaland blanking for the first time in ages. So I do get it. It was a bit of a perfect blend, but I think generally speaking it was a good time to play, and yeah, it's good to see so many people doing well. Hi to everyone in the chat. Yeah, do get your questions in. We'll make this a bit of an interactive one. I've got my transfer spreadsheet open. So if you've got any transfers that you're considering this week, let me know. The big caveat here is it has to be an attacking transfer. I don't currently have the ability or the spreadsheet to do a defensive transfer. I know there's a lot of Senessis. I know there's a lot of defensive problems in people's teams, but we cannot do defensive moves right now. Well, we can talk about them. We don't have them on the spreadsheet. So I can look at attacking moves, and I know obviously Sarr is very popular in terms of being sold, and we can look at some replacements for him and other things. So yeah, we can talk through that. So yeah, get your questions in. I will pin as many as I can, and I'll talk through as many questions as I can too. This was my free hit. So it was Martinez in goal. It was O'Reilly, Collins, Munoz. It was Sharda, Szoboszlai, Rogers, Foden, Salah, and Thiago and Haaland captain, with the bench of Kingsley, Marks, Gu, Heaven, and Reynildo, who was the only player on the bench to play, let alone get an assist. And he actually came on for Salah, so it could have been a lot worse. I've seen some benches with zeros out there, so at least I managed to get. That. I mean, the really, really frustrating thing is, and I don't want everyone to get the little tiny violins out, and because it was a decent score. 61 is absolutely fine. I had Foden. I know some people went for Doku. The defence did okay. Martinez and goal, O'Reilly, Collins. I didn't double up on Brentford defence or anything like that. I'm not too annoyed about Sharda versus Dango. I looked into it extensively. There was nothing separating them stats-wise, and in the end I went for the player who I thought would get more minutes, like a lot of people did, and that didn't work out. But the real kicker was I took out Gakpo and Isak very, very last minute for Szoboszlai and Salah, and it can't get much worse, can it? Because obviously Gakpo assisted Isak in the first half, and then went on and scored right at the death. And Szoboszlai blanked, and Salah didn't even turn up. So if I'd done that, if I'd kept with Isak and Gakpo, I would have been on over 70 and probably well into the 2 millions. So that would have been really nice. Disappointed with that. I mean, the thing was, I wanted Isak and Gakpo because I liked the idea that they would play with Wirtz and Ekitike out. I thought Wirtz was injured. I said on BlackBox last week, I thought he was out. I read a rumour he was out till March. Ended up starting. And obviously Ekitike went off with his hamstring. So I was like, well, if those two are out, this is a really good opportunity to get in the two sure starters. And when Slot basically said, they're actually all right and they're going to be back in training, I panicked. And that's why I went for the two safer picks in Szoboszlai and Salah. And yeah, obviously it didn't work out. And Gakpo... really, really, really annoying. The Isak one is fine, but the Gakpo one, because he was obviously such a popular pick on the free hits. So yeah, disappointing. I mean, elsewhere, O'Reilly I think could have had more. He looked really, really good. I think a lot of people using transfers to bring him in. Can completely see why. I do worry a little bit over the next few weeks if Aït-Nouri might come in. But yeah, he looks very good. And Collins, he had two amazing chances in that match. He scores one of those. He's getting an absolute monster score, and that would have been fantastic. So yeah, happy with the decision. Obviously, the outcome wasn't quite right, but yeah, generally speaking, it was fine. Matt France in the chat, I went Doku, changed my last minute, but couldn't get Foden in time. I've got to be honest, I never really considered not going with Foden. I'd love him. That's not based on any skill or any... my feelings for Phil Foden over the years of being second to none, I absolutely love him. Whereas Mark, who obviously backed against Foden this week, continues just to get no points from him whatsoever. And a shout out to Mark because, of course, it was the round 2 of the BlackBox, the old BlackBox derby, after our absolute thrashing last year, 7-0 while I was on holiday, and it was nice to see Brighton, picking up a win and expelling some of those demons from that. So yeah, I was very, very happy with that result, and I watched it with my dad, who was only wearing one jumper, so there wasn't multiple jumpers being thrown across the room. Had he been wearing multiple jumpers, I think after the first 20 minutes, they would have been flying all over the room, because it was a really strange match, because I don't know if many people were probably watching the Liverpool game or one of the other matches that were on at the same time, but for 20 minutes, it was probably about the best I've seen Brighton play ever. It was classic Brighton. So many chances. But when I say it was chance after chance after chance for 15, 16 minutes. Could have been 4 or 5 up. And some sitters. Absolute sitters as well. So, yeah, this really, really disappointing when they couldn't score. And then Forest, I thought, were absolutely fantastic for about 60 minutes. The way they were pressing the ball. They were making us misplace so many passes, causing so many problems. Gibbs White, we all thought when we were watching it that he'd scored. I thought Anderson was just absolutely unbelievable. It's like you're playing against 3 extra people in midfield. He does so much work, absolutely tireless. And in the end got the goal and went on and got one at the end. But yeah, it was. It didn't really feel like, if you look at the score and thought, 2-0, Brighton went away with that. I definitely didn't think that, but you would have thought that after the first 20 minutes. So very, very strange. Oh, Mark Summers has bought in Foden now. Okay, well, now's the time to get rid of him if you've got him. Mark is cursed. Absolutely cursed with Foden. Davies family, good to see you. Flying solo tonight, as loving your rank climbs recently. Form temporary, class permanent, as they say. Isn't that nice? I'm not sure we can keep using the form argument, though. Is it form when it's been 3.5 seasons? when does that become a lack of class? I'm not sure. But yeah, it'd be nice to get into the top million by, after Christmas or something like that. I felt like if I did that, I could probably push on, and maybe achieve something quite good this year. But the next few weeks for everyone are just so crucial because, I've had a 2.5 million rank rise, but, I get a couple of players missing out midweek, and I'm probably going to be taking a hit this week, and then you back down in the 3-4 million trenches, and then it's hard to climb your way out. So, yeah, hopefully things can keep going your way. There's very little. The difficulty is that obviously you get your 1 or 2 transfers a week, but at the moment there's not a huge amount we can do. The big decisions are going to be made when we get those 5 extra transfers. Thank you, Mark, and the chips get refreshed, and that's going to be a big one. But if we can all just get a couple of nice little green arrows over the next few weeks, we can push on. Mark Summon's cracking game for the neutral. Yeah. How did you feel watching it? Because Mark told me that he wasn't going to go to any more home games while Sean Dyche was in charge, and they started doing well, beat Liverpool. I better start going to some. So yeah, typical. Heather Green arrow on my World Cup, but left 33 points on the bench, including Voltamada and Chaw. Oh my god, 33 points on the bench. My bench boo's got 7. 33 points. Chaw on the bench is... that is brutal. That's one of the biggest benches I've ever heard. I've had. Russell Green, good morning from Oz. Well done, Ass. Thank you. Yeah, it was a decent grade. I don't really think I deserve any plaudits, though. I still got a few decisions wrong, but I'm never happy. I don't feel like I'm ever happy with FPL at the moment. Even when I get a fairly decent score or something, I always think, I could have done more. Disappointing. Adeline, 61 points, same as me. 20k green arrows and 9k overall. God, mate, you can win it. You can win it at 9k overall. Let's do it. Let's go. Hopefully some of the tables and stuff helps you. Gunnar Doyne joins with my morning coffee. You must be way behind where we are. But yeah, lovely. Yeah, well, I thought I'd do this one because Andy's off doing the Scoutcast. Didn't actually realise that he was doing the Scoutcast at the exact same time that I was doing this, but hey ho, I did tell him it was a conflict of interest in doing that and this. So make sure you go check them out after this one. It'd be nice to keep you here for a bit, but yeah, go check out Andy afterwards. But I thought, there's big decisions to be made. I'm talking about how important the next few weeks are, and I think it's only right that we look at some tables, look at some stats, and see where we're going. So. Let's get into that. And then I've got this transfer spreadsheet. I had sent it to Mark for, him to check it and give me some feedback. He hasn't done any of that. So he's going to say, I'm busy. Yeah, always busy, aren't you? But, but anyway, I think it's in a pretty decent place now. So, yeah, we'll test it out with a few things. I did do a random little stream about a week ago, just to about 7 people, where we sort of tweaked some of the scoring and algorithm stuff. But yeah, I've got it into a pretty good place, so we'll talk a bit through that as well. I haven't got all the tables, I haven't got everything. I thought we'd just focus on some last 6 data and some team data. I've got Lego Mane's hop on, hop off. So obviously we're in game week 14 now, so you can have a look at some of these. Liverpool still the team to invest in, and I do wonder if more people are going to be going there now, because they've had a very, very, very poor run of results. They made some big decisions. I mean, dropping Salah is always going to be a big decision. I think now that you look at it, you think, well, it kind of had to happen, didn't it? Because he hasn't been playing well. And it gave some other players a chance to impress, players they've spent a lot of money on. I thought Wirtz played really well. Still no goals or assists for him in the league, but surely they're going to come at some point, because I thought he created a lot. Isak looks like he's still finding his way back to his best form. Obviously got the goal, and that's what he needs to do. He needs to keep doing. Gakpo hasn't been great either for a while, but obviously got to score the winner and set one up. So Yeah, Sunderland at home next. I think Sunderland's are on a bit of a downward slide as well in terms of the defensive numbers. In terms of results, absolutely not. I mean, obviously got the win against Bournemouth, which I don't think too many were probably expecting, particularly not when they were 2-0 down in that game. But maybe not the defensive resilience side that we expected. I don't think many of us expected them to score 3 goals, to be honest, but they still managed it. Then they're playing Leeds, who I just think look really, really poor at the moment. And then it's Brighton. I mean, there's got to be goals in that. And then you've got Spurs, Wolves and Leeds. So it remains an incredible run of fixtures for Liverpool, and trying to work out where to tap into them I think is potentially quite key if we are going to do it. The issues are with Wirtz and Ekitike back, although it looks now that like Gakpo is like an absolute lock-in. I do wonder, well, when Salah does come back into the team, is he going to carry on playing Wirtz there? Is he going to bring Ekitike out? Is he going to change things around? We're in the same problem that we were in last week, and I think a lot of people are going to get drawn back into buying players like that. Like Isak, I think, is going to attract a bit of interest now. I think Gakpo is too after the big haul, but I still don't know if it's worth it, particularly with the fixtures that we've got coming up over the next couple of weeks. And I do wonder if there's still better players from lesser teams, and I include Brighton in that might be better picks just because we know they're going to play so many minutes. Foden's an interesting one. I'm interested to know how many people are looking to get Foden. Manchester says I can afford Sarr to Foden. I'm looking at the comment now. I can afford Sarr to Foden, but so dodgy owning City players other than Haaland. Foden started loads in a row, just scored 2, yet Pep could still bench him. One of next 2 with Real Madrid soon. Yeah, I mean, the fact Foden has played so much, he's not a player who Pep is benching. City's position in the league isn't where they want to be. They obviously want to be top. They want to be putting more pressure on Arsenal than maybe they have been. I think they've had a couple of poor performances. They were a little bit lucky, I think, to go over the line against Leeds generally. And Foden is playing well. Not the team of the season Foden that we maybe saw a few years ago, but I think the way he's linking play, the way he's dropping back, the way he's, some of the finishing that he's doing, the way his link up play with Haaland, it's really, really key for them. And I think it would be a big gamble for City during this spell when they need points, Leeds, Fulham, Sunderland, to consider taking him out of the team. Because if Haaland's form is dropping a little bit, which, I mean, when we talk about Haaland's form dropping, we're saying like 2 games without scoring is a drip for him. But they're so reliant on Haaland that you do have to think, well, other players are going to step up. We're going to have to step up. And Doku is just so inconsistent in terms of what he delivers. I mean, you could argue he's been one of their best players this season, but you could argue that he's still not getting the goals and assists that he should be, a player of his talent, and he's having his best season. But what's that, about 7 games now where he's only got maybe 1 or 2 attacking returns? So I think Foden is definitely the player. I really like those 2 home games. I think Sunderland and West Ham obviously in 15 and 17. I think they're great. Maybe you can avoid it in 14. If you're free hitting in 16, I think it's perfect to bring in Foden in 15, because then you can obviously take him out against Palace. And then you go into Nottingham, Forest and Sunderland in 18 and 19. So I think Foden is a really, really good purchase. I mean, the other player from City is obviously O'Reilly, who a lot of people are looking at. I think O'Reilly surely gets benched either tomorrow or against Sunderland. Surely for Aït-Nouri. I know he's been really, really impressive, but they've got Aït-Nouri, who they've obviously paid a lot of money for, started the season really well, and they want to get minutes in his leg. So I would be very surprised if O'Reilly started all 3 games in a week, which is why I'm not really considering him at the moment. I think from 16-17 when Aït-Nouri goes off to AFCON, it's a very different story. He looks a great pick, but I think you can get away with it for the next couple of weeks, although obviously he did look very good. A lot of people bought him in, they wanted to cover that Leeds fixture, but I think they might be regretting that. He's not on my radar to be bringing in this week. Let's put it like that. Limelight, BB's absolutely boss. Thanks. Well, thank you very much. Nice to hear it. Good to see so many of you in the chat as well. Thanks for joining me on my own as I ramble and talk absolute nonsense. Let's take a look at some data. So we've got the last 6 data. This is your team defense data over the last 6. I thought this was quite interesting because if you look at the top 4 defences here, so that's Arsenal, Brentford, Brighton and Chelsea. They are all very high on the fixture ticker as well. It's that classic one where, obviously fixtures breed form, but I think we've always said on BlackBox it's particularly the case for defences that, if you've got a good team with good fixtures, their defensive data is going to be better. For attack, it seems to be a bit more wayward. When you've got like world-class attackers, even if you've got rough fixtures, they can still find ways to score. But if you've got a good run of games, the clean sheets do still come. And I think, we're all looking at defenders and thinking about, which attacking defenders should we buy? Should we be looking at DEFCON? But still, I think clean sheets has to be the number one thing that we're looking at. So Arsenal are still the team to invest in. I think Timber is obviously attracting a lot of interest at the moment this week. I'm really glad I bought him in. I bought him in for a hit a couple of weeks ago. And if I hadn't bought him in for a hit, I'd be having Senesi, Gabriel, Sarr, all injured, with a bench of Calvert-Lewin, Goodmanson and Diouf. So I'm very glad to have Timber in place. Do I think Timber's going to get benched? That's what a lot of people are a bit worried about. Home game against Brentford. I think there's too much flux in that Arsenal defence at the moment for him to risk taking out Timber. I mean, Ben White has barely played. I think if Ben White does come in, it could mean Timber goes over to centre back. I think if Saliba's out again and you're taking out your two central defenders, I think Calafiori might be more at risk with Lewis Skelly coming in. I don't think he's going to have two second choice centre backs, Lewis Skelly and Ben White against Brentford, who are ripping up trees and playing really well. It's a game that, again, there's a couple of drop points. Two games in the last three with draws, and they want to make sure they tighten their grip on this Premier League. So I think Timber plays. I think he plays against Brentford. I think he plays, pretty much all the games he's available for. Dixie says, I think Arsenal goes full strength. I accept them to be more rotation against Bruges in the Champions League. I think so. They're in a very, very strong position in the Champions League, and their defenders that have come in and out of those games have shown they can deliver it. The Premier League's very different. You can't really. I think Arteta is too smart these days to risk it, and he's not going to want to make 3 or 4 changes in his back line. So yeah, I think they play. I think he plays Timber. Brentford defence is looking good. I think if you have brought in a Van Heck or a Collins or someone like that, these numbers are really good. They are still conceding a lot of goals. If you look at the top sort of 6 teams for the XG non-penalty per 90, Brentford have conceded 8 goals, which is obviously a lot. Brighton have conceded 6. Man City, typical Man City, great underlying stats, but still conceding too many goals. But yeah, the Brentford underlying numbers are really, really impressive. The Brighton numbers are nearly just as good as well. I mean, 0.87 actually non-penalty per 90. That is like elite stats. I thought we defended incredibly well against Forest. It was a bit, last minute blocks off the line and chucking bodies in the way. And you do always wonder a bit how sustainable that is. But Dunk is in a real purple patch at the moment. He's playing some of the best football I've seen him play in years. I was pretty much written him off before the start of the season, but I think he's been absolutely excellent for us. For Bruggen as well, a player who I was getting a bit critical of, hasn't really lived up to the hype. I think he could be a really good goalkeeper. FPL Nightmares in the chat asking about Pope. I think it's not obvious to know which direction you should go in with your goalkeeper. I don't particularly like any of them, really. If we go back to Lega Mane's graphic, I mean, are you going to go for like a Sells? I mean, Forest have got decent fixtures, but Sells, like Martinez did well against Wolves, but Brighton and Arsenal in the next 2, I don't love that. Are you going to go for Donnarumma? I mean, that's one way to tap into the Man City clean sheets, but I don't know. Man City, we've just shown that they're still conceding a lot of goals. Liverpool, you can't really invest in. Ray is an option if you haven't gone there, but none of these teams really appeal to me too much. And then I look at Brighton with Aston Villa at home, West Ham at home, Liverpool, okay, that's not great. Sunderland, that's all right in 17. Arsenal, okay, that's not great. But then it's West Ham, Burnley. Apart from those games in 16 and 18, and who did Burnley have in those 2? 16 and 18. So in 16, Burnley has Fulham, so you can play Dubravka if you've got him. And in 18, he's got Everton at home. So why not go for Verbruggen? And in the 2 ridiculously difficult games that Brighton have got, just play Dubravka for Fulham and Everton. I think that's definitely the way I'd go. I have got Pope, and I'm going to have to make a decision on what to do with him. And I think, this week I'm probably just going to keep Dubravka and play him against Palace. But I think next week I'll be doing Pope to Verbruggen. Oh God, I'm going to end up with 2 Brighton players, aren't I? This is going to be an absolute disaster. Davies' family, does De Kuiper have decent minutes? Brighton great fixtures coming up. I just wouldn't go there. He's not nailed. He's absolutely not nailed. We'll be playing for a right back. I thought Kadioglu was absolutely fantastic at left back for us whenever he's played there. Kadioglu could shift to the right. We could see De Kuiper playing on the left. We've got Hinchelwood as well, who can play right and left. We need to find a way to get him in the team. Too, I just wouldn't go anywhere near De Kuiper. The only players I go for are Bruggen or Van Heck, I think. But don't expect a huge amount. We have so much of the ball that defcons aren't really, a massive factor. We have absolutely no set piece. Honestly, I can't even remember the last time we scored from a corner. Need to work on that. Need to bring in a new set piece coach or something like that. So, but yeah, I definitely wouldn't go anywhere near to Kuiper. Chelsea is another option. I mean, you could go for Sanchez. I mean, they have had very good fixtures. I thought Sanchez is another one. He's been playing really, really well for them. I've written him off as well. Seems to be a story of my season, writing off these players that are sort of coming in and doing quite well. But yeah, Sanchez is good. Just 3 goals conceded for Chelsea. So I think he's an option too. I think they'd be the 2 that I'd be looking at. If you haven't got a Chelsea defender already, I think Sanchez is a really nice pick. If you want to do the rotation with Burnley, then I think then Brighton and for Bruggen. It's a good pick. Indy Barge, what's your Minter? I'm going to talk about him in a bit because he's interesting one, and I'm going to put him through my transfer checker as well. So stay with me on that one. Deriz says, how far is Matoma from game time? He's close. I think he is very, very close. But you would expect him to make a couple of bench appearances first, and it's a very tricky schedule that we've got. I mean, he's going to come in for Gomez at some point, but yeah, there's plenty of time to worry about. I think even when Matoma is fully fit and raring to go, I still think Minte is a better pick than him. So if you are thinking about Minte this week, I think he's a great pick. The other options in defence. I mean, if you go down to the bottom, I mean, West Ham, Leeds, and Burnley. These are the 3 teams that I mentioned. This is what a lot of people were attacking on the free hits. Burnley in particular, that XG on penalty per 90 of 2.26. I mean, this is ridiculous. It's getting ridiculous now. I mean, we thought that these promoted teams would have a bit of a go. Sunderland have been a joy to watch. Leeds look like they're going to be really, really struggling. I don't think Farke is going to last much longer. The fan pressure, I think, is going to be too much for him. But it doesn't seem to be much pressure on Parker growing, and the underlying stats paint the picture that they are by far the worst team in the league. I mean, that big chances created, conceded per 90, 3.67. I mean, that is absolutely massive. I mean, you compare that to Leeds 2.33. You compare it to some of the other teams. Chelsea 1.33. They're creating big chances. 3 times the rate of other teams in the league. So I think it's a big worry with them, and I think they just remain a team to target. And it's a shame Sar's out this week because I think it would have been a good. Wait, are they playing Burnley this week? Or are they playing? Oh, they'll play Burnley this week. Yeah, that would have been a good matchup for him because anyone playing them, I think, is good. I think every week you need to be looking at who's playing Burnley and just thinking, is there a way I can bring in a player or capture the player against this guy, particularly if you're trying to chase a bit of rank, because they are a rough old team. Sorry, Burnley fans. Team attack last 6. You can see Burnley down the bottom again. So the worst attack and the worst defence. I mean, the fixtures have been good as well. 6th on the ticker. So I don't think it's going to get a lot better for them. Suns are right down there. They're in 19th. And Spurs as well down in 18th. Had rough fixtures, but really, really struggling to create chances. Massively worrying. I mean, another home loss for them. I mean, what is going on with their home form? It's absolutely crazy. If you take a look at the top of the pile, so Man City, they're top. They've had the 12th worst fixtures, but it doesn't seem to be stopping them. They're just going to keep creating chances, aren't they, in the way that they always have done. Chelsea 2nd, Arsenal 3rd, Liverpool 4th. I mean, that's probably going to be the top 4. You would have thought, we're going to say Liverpool are going to make a resurgence? Yeah, probably. I think that'll probably be the top 4, won't it, this season. Although Brighton, we're not far off. I think we could get a European spot this year. It's been a really, really good last few weeks for us. Other teams have been Bournemouth. A lot of people losing faith in players like Semenyo, but their attacking data still seems pretty good. I think Brentford as well with Thiago, if he shakes off this injury, obviously just a good pick going forward as well. And then you've got Forest, Brighton, and Newcastle. So we do have options from teams. Some of these numbers are pretty good. as well. I mean, ignoring like kind of the order of the list, but sort of anything over about 1.25 is pretty good. I mean, even Leeds down in 11th, the XG non-penalty per 90 is 1.31, which is pretty good. I mean, if you look back at sort of the top 6 sides, I mean, it's in and around that, so they are still able to create chances. It's just they've got Calvert-Lewin, handballing it and messing them up. Can you believe that he scored though? I end up having to play him in all these different weeks, and he chooses Man City at home the week I free hit to score. Not really fair at all. Let's take a look at some defenders then. So obviously I think a lot of people are going to be buying defenders this week, given Senesi is injured. Although I would just urge people to look at the fixtures for Senesi. I know Bournemouth haven't been great, but if we look at their defensive data, I mean, they're down in 15th. So the defensive numbers have got a lot worse. I haven't actually updated this table for the season, but they were 13th going into this, so they've got a little bit worse compared to what we saw across the season. If we take a look at their fixtures, this was a really nice game for him against Everton. But in 18, you're probably going to want him because he's going to play Burnley. Play Burnley in 17 as well. So you might want to keep him for that one. And it's Brentford in 18. I mean, you could argue that with these tough fixtures, I mean, Chelsea, Manchester United, they play Chelsea as well. I mean, he is 100% going to get DEFCONs in these games. There's absolutely no doubt about it. So I can see why people are thinking of selling him. You're getting rid of him against Everton when he can't play, and it's a great game for them. Are you going to want to play him against Chelsea and Manchester United? Possibly not, but I still think he's going to be a player that we might want to keep. So I think if you've got other players that you can take out, I still think Senesi getting those 4 pointers every week as a baseline still can't be sniffed at, because if they do manage to get a clean sheet in any of these games, he's going to get a bit of a monster haul. You don't necessarily have to play him, but he might be a player who you could look to bring on and stuff with that baseline. So he's not as essential as he was 6 weeks ago. I don't think that, and I don't hate the fact that people are selling him, but I think I'm tempted to hold him and keep him because I've got other moves that I want to do. Looking at some of the others, I mean, Reece James, look at those FPL points per 90, 7.73. Really, really impressive. He's been confirmed that he is out, I think, or he's not going to play. I think Maresca said he needs to be managed or something like that. But I think that's good to know, because I think after this week, he's shown already that he can play 3 games in a week. So I think when this game's over, he might be someone that we look at. You're always going to have that slight worry that he's not going to play, and I still think Chalobah's the one to get, because he's still got that set piece threat and the DEFCON potential. So I don't hate the Reece James pick, but I think you can probably do a bit better. O'Reilly, XGI per 90 of 0.49. That is so high. His FPL points per 90 is 6.84. So he's third best for that. But I mean, those XGI numbers are in keeping with like top midfielders and top forwards. He's going to get a big haul at some point. I just don't necessarily think these next 2 weeks are the ones that get him in, but I think you're going to want him. I mean, look at Munoz. We often say that Munoz is the most attacking defender in the league. Well, his underlying stats over the last 6 haven't been particularly good at 0.2. Still decent for a defender. Savona is down there as well. He's a player that I've been looking at. But actually, been looking to get Mark's thoughts on Savona. Cheap at 4.5. Obviously, Aina due to come back at some point. But I thought he looks good. Be hard to drop him even when Aina is class, but might need a bit of time to get back into the stride of things. Someone's already mentioned Anderson in the chat. Yeah, I mean 60% DEFCONs, decent fixtures. I mean, I would agree with you that if you could do Senesi to Anderson, Phillies, maybe you've got a couple of transfers, that's a great one to do. Issue is, you can do it this week when he's got City at home, and then if you do wait, then obviously Senesi's got that Burnley match coming up. Anderson is a player who I don't want to use a transfer on, but I think he is similar to Senesi in the fact that he's just going to keep ticking over and getting points. And I think he's an absolutely brilliant pick. I mean, I've got Diouf and Goodmanson. I would bite your right hand off for Anderson. Where's Chaw? Says Nixie, yeah, Chaw is someone that I am potentially going to be buying this week. Let me tell you where Chaw is. He's not in the top 20, even though he scored those 2 goals. And I'll tell you where he is. He is 23rd, so he nearly makes the list. But 0.14 XGI, which for a centre-back isn't too bad, I guess. Someone like Cash is like 0.11, for example. We would class him as a fairly attacking fullback. But look at some of the centre backs. I mean, look at like Chalobah, look at Lacroix, look at Anderson. I mean, these are all 0.08. Key 0.06. Those numbers for Chaw aren't too bad. You just can't rely on goals from centre backs. So if you're looking at Chaw and thinking this guy's going to get me another 2 goals, it's not going to happen. He's not going to score 2 goals again this season. He might have another game where he scores a goal. He might have a couple games where he scores 1 goal, but he hasn't got the history, and I don't think Newcastle have got the history of scoring loads of goals from corners since Trippier's been in and out of the team. What Newcastle do have, though, is an amazing set of fixtures. And if you look at this run, it's Spurs, Burnley and Sunderland in the next 3. Spurs, Burnley and Sunderland are the 3 worst teams from an attacking sense over the previous 6 games. So he's basically playing the 3 worst attacks in the league in a row. So I completely get why people are looking at that. And that's why I'm looking to do it as well. It's then Chelsea and Manchester United, but then you've got an incredible run of Burnley, Palace, Leeds, Wolves, Aston Villa. So it's at a time when Pope is out, and it's annoying because I've got Pope in goal, and this run is one of the reasons why I was happy to hold him. But I want to tap into that Newcastle defence at some point. And FPL Nightmare's in the chat. FPL Nightmare has done a great vlog talking about Newcastle and how the difference that team is going to be with Livramento and Hall back in the side. And you saw it against Everton, didn't you? I mean, Everton just completely fell apart, but Hall in particular is just an absolutely unbelievable player. And it helps Newcastle be on the front foot. It helps them play the way they want to play. And at home, you'll always back them. I think they could keep a clean sheet against anyone they're playing at home. When you look at some of those away games, Sunderland, Burnley, I think it's a really good time to invest in Newcastle. FPL Discomfort, would you go Chaw over Livramento Hall if going for Newcastle? Yeah, I think so. I still don't think that fullbacks are the way to go. We've been saying all season that it's all about the centre backs. Chaw's DEFCON is 33%. I think that's pretty good. 1 in 3, he's getting those DEFCON points. I think Hall probably gets rested in the next couple of games because he's come back from the injury. And Livramento's never really had great attacking threat or great attacking numbers. So I think the centre back option is definitely the one to go for. When do you have to use our chips by? I believe it's 19. So it's basically the game week before the new year. By the end of the year, you've got to make sure you've used them. So good luck. The game week 19 is the last week. You can do it. Anyone else on defenders? Anyone else people are looking at? Let me know. I think Anderson is obviously key. I think Chalobah I like O'Reilly. I like Chaw as well. They're probably the main ones for me. A few people are going for Nottingham Forest defenders, like a Murillo or a Milenkovic. Don't hate Milenkovic as well as an option. He is a bit pricey, and I'm still not 100% sure we're going to see that same keep calling the City Forest defence that we saw last year. So I think there's probably better options. I'm going forward. Yeah, Nixie says about Van Heck as well. Yeah, I mean he's an option. I just think there's better picks. I think Anderson, Chaw are both better, or if you can go up to O'Reilly or Chalobah, they're the ones I'd go for. So. And I've got Lacroix as well. I'm really happy with Lacroix. I went with Lacroix over Gahey and Munoz and all that, and he got DEFCONs again. He's climbing up in terms of the amount that he's getting those into like the top echelons of the defenders. So yeah, pretty happy with him. Iroy says Lacroix versus Munoz. I would probably pick, if I was wildcarding now, or if I was picking one of them. I think I'd still go Lacroix. I just think those DEFCONs. If he's getting two a game. It's so hard for any other defenders to keep up with that. And Munoz's attacking stats have massively dipped. Yeah, I would go for Lacroix. Going to disagree with him. Monkey says, I disagree that centre-backs are the way to go. Timber, Munoz, Nico O'Reilly are great, if not some of the best options. Yeah, they are very good options. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Timber is just a unique asset in the sense that Arsenal's data is just so unbelievably good. It feels like you need to have him at some point. It doesn't matter if he's a centre back, a full back, a goalkeeper, whatever. You just want to make sure you've got one of those options in. So I completely get that. Munoz is one of the best options we've got. I completely agree with that as well. But I think you can not have him and still do okay. Like I said, I'd prefer Lacroix. I'd go Lacroix, I think, just over him now. And then O'Reilly's obviously got the rotation threat around. And even with stats like this at 0.49, it's still very, very hard for a defender to keep pace and get attacking sets, especially if City are conceding, stupid goals, and he's nowhere near the DEFCON. He's got to relying on goals and assists from a defender, no matter who they are, is always a big risk. And when you've got other defenders who are regularly getting 2 points, 3 games and they've got 2 assists. If they get DEFCON all 3 of those games, now what defenders are going to get you 2 assists in 3 games like regularly? It's really difficult for them. So I really don't get me wrong, I really like those picks. I really like Timber, Munoz and O'Reilly, but I still think I'm going to be targeting centre-backs going forward. This is midfielders. Neto, not seeing too many people talk about him. He's top over the last 6. 0.61. My boy Enzo Fernandez, 0.59. We see what happens to him with Palmer back in the side. Doku, all fart no poo. We've called him before on this channel. He's doing that again. Good numbers, 0.54. But only 1 goal in that time. Really disappointing for free hitters for those. And Mbumo is interesting because his stats have declined. He was obviously putting in some of the top stats around 0.53. They're still pretty good, but he's living a lot off that Brighton game where he scored those 2 goals. He's off to AFCON soon. There's going to be a lot of sideways moves of Mbumo to Fernandez, I think. And really, the next 2 games are massive for the Mbumo versus Fernandez crew, like me. Big games ahead, because if he gets outscored by Fernandez heavily over the next 2, and then we've got to use a transfer to take him out, and his price has gone up and all that, it's going to be a bit of a disaster. So it'd be nice if Brian can see us off in style. Saka's in 5th, only a goal and assist for him. Still waiting for that form to click and him, to become the premium asset that we all want him to be. Did get the assist. He's such a good player, but yeah, the goal involvements have definitely dried up a little bit. And then you've got Gibbs White in 6th, Trossard in 7th, Dango in 8th. Bruno Fernandes, his stats, not far off Mbumo now, 0.42. And Dewsbury Hall keeps coming off people's benches and scoring. Minte's the one that I know a lot of people are interested in. He's the one that I'm most interested in as well. His underlying stats aren't amazing. 0.27. The difference with Minte is, and this is what my transfer spreadsheet is kind of built for, is that when I watch Brighton and I watch Minte, he looks unbelievable. Like he's so direct, he's so fast, he's so fit as well. He's our fittest player, I think, at the moment as well. So I can't see him being rested. And you always just think he's going to score when he gets the ball. And you look at this and you think, well, he's got 5 assists, but an XGI not over 90 of 0.27. That's really, really low. That's half, the likes of Mbumo and Doku. So even though you might think he looks lively, the chances maybe aren't necessarily falling there so much. Yelena's here. She's not been feeling too well today, so could you take Ralphie's bedtime wee when you're done? I bought her. What did I bring you today? You asked. I was like, you're not feeling very well, so I bought you ice cream, sweets, chocolate, all the stuff you definitely shouldn't be eating, but did look nice, to be fair. I made myself a curry when I got back as well, which was also very nice. Yeah, let me know if there's any of these midfielders you want me to stick through the transfer tool. Sigurd says, where is Foden? Gakpo, let me tell you, my friend. Gakpo over the last 6, in terms of XG, because this is sorted by XGI per 90. He is quite low down, actually. I think he's not in the top 30. He is 40. Oh, hang on. Trying to do this live is always going to be a disaster. Gakpo. Oh, Gakpo isn't on this list. Interesting. Foden is. Foden. Okay. Right. Sorry. I'm going to change this graph. Yeah. Foden's 4th. 0.55. So he's just below. He's just below Enzo Fernandez. I'm not sure where Gakpo is. I will find out and post it after this. But yeah, Foden. I don't think Gakpo's on my list. Yeah, Foden's on it at 0.55. So the stats show that he's a pretty good buy at the moment as well. Where's someone mentioned Ndai as well. Where's he? Ndai. Yeah, 16th. Yeah. So he's gone down a little bit. A couple of these players aren't in there. Let me just refresh this. Ah, there it is. Hang on. Got it. Got it. This is what the people want to see. A bit of live. That should fix it. Ah, Gakpo's top. There you go. Gakpo's top, 0.76. And you've got Foden 4th. You've got Ndai is in 16th, 0.37. Yeah, sorry, there was a couple of those players missing for some reason. Yeah, so Gakpo's top. I mean, the question with Gakpo is, even if Gakpo is the top for XGI non-penalty per 90, would you still pick him? Would you still be using a transfer on him this week? I don't know. I mean, those numbers are very, very impressive. I mean, they are boosted by obviously the game he had last. I mean, he was very high up the list in terms of the last table that we looked at. So yeah, I do get it. I mean, shots in the box per 90, 2.37. That is high. I mean, Salah's at 2.84. He's 6th on the list at 0.54 as well. Yeah, Sigurd. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, Foden's 0.55. Yeah, that puts him at 4th. Okay, okay, we're all on the same page. All on the same page now. I mean, Neto's numbers are good though, aren't they? When you put him sandwiched in the middle between Foden and Gakpo, 2 goals and an assist for him. I wonder if anyone is going to be tempted by that. And got up to 7.2 for him if you're taking Sarr out, for example. But yeah, I do like the look of him. Although I wouldn't personally pair him with Fernandes because I've obviously got. I've already got the Chelsea midfielder in there. Yeah, sorry about the tables. Forwards over the last 6. This is filtered by play. Well, all these tables are filtered by players that have over 300 minutes. So there isn't actually a huge amount of forwards for us to consider when you take the minutes into consideration. Haaland's still top of this list, 0.75. Mateta still looking good, 0.71. Although we think he's going to be rested, do we, against Burnley? With Nketiah coming in, I think he was always going to play against Manchester United, but obviously had a couple of early subs in the Conference League and in the game before that. I think this is probably the chance that Nketiah is going to come in and take his place. So he's not going to sell him though, are you? I think given Sarr's injury and things, I think we're going to be expecting Mateta to come back in at some point. Voltemada, gutted if you sold him. I think he's a great pick going forward. Although it is worth noting that Visser is not going to AFCON, so he will continue to be a bit of a thorn in the side of Voltemada potentially in terms of rotation as well. Nikolai says Gakpo higher XGI than Haaland in the last 6. Yeah, but would you captain him? Would you captain him over Haaland? I mean, maybe that's the main takeaway from this Black Box episode is, if Gakpo is that high, can you afford to not own him or not be considering ways in which to bring him in, even if there is that risk about rotation? At what point do their stats become so inviting that even the risk of a benching or a non-start is outweighed by those underlying numbers? Poor old Strand Arsenal. Look at that, XG per 90 over the last 6 of 0.09. I mentioned some of the centre backs having poor numbers. I mean, that is right up there with them. That is absolutely appalling for him. I think he did score, didn't he, against Aston Villa, but it was ruled out. But they're just not able to get the chance. He's not able to create the chances for him. Thiago, 7 goals, 0.36, massively overperforming on his numbers. How many more penalties can they get? I'm not even sure. So, but yeah, they probably will continue to, because we've seen it in the past with players like Milivojevic and other players who just continue to get penalties. Bruno Fernandes over the years has been pretty impressive. Mark Ravenman says Gakpo is terrible for bonus points, just to get multiple attacking words to get any. I don't think he wasn't anywhere near, was he, with his assists? Obviously got the goal and got them all. Nixie says a lot of talk about Elliot Anderson, but he obviously won't be on the list. No, that's you're kind of assuming he gets to 4 points. I think with Gibbs White back, I think he's an unbelievable player, but I think his stock falls a little bit with Gibbs White back because you want to play in that slightly more advanced role. Dry Lint says Holland really has the 1.69 shots per 90. Yeah, apparently. I mean, his shots are pretty good quality. XG of 0.2. But yeah, it's quite low, isn't it? I mean, it's still the highest of all forwards. Is it the highest of all midfielders? No, there's other players with more shots than him. Someone like Dango Otara, for example, is quite high. I mean, Haaland hasn't been really been incredible, has he, for a while? I mean, he got the 13 points against Bournemouth, but other than that, he's had 1 goal in 3 games against Liverpool. Yeah, but I mean, we're all going to captain this week, aren't we? I think a lot of people are going to say they're going to captain like Saka's and then Mbeumo's and that kind, but I don't really think anyone is really going to do it. Okay, let's take a look at the transfer sheet before I go. Let me know if there's any players that you want me to run through it. So this is what I've put together. And apologies, this is now getting into the very nerdy territory. But the idea of this is you put in a player in the top left, so Sarr, for example, and then you put a player into the transfer in over here. Hopefully not Calvert-Lewin, if anyone's thinking about doing that. And you fill in these little boxes and it tells you whether you're making a good transfer or not, basically. So it's just a bit of a sense check for what we want to be doing. So Sarr, for example, so there's a checkbox here for injured. So that basically automatically puts him up to an excellent transfer out. So he's injured, he's not going to play. He already becomes an excellent transfer. Say he wasn't injured, you could still look at some of these other metrics and sort of see in where the numbers are going to come from. Let me just take Sarr. Let me just look at this quickly. Sarr is right the way down here. I'm looking for 1 point. That's right. Cool. Okay, so here we have Sarr. So let's just make him an injured player, and then let's have a look at Minte, for example. So my first thoughts are Sarr to Minte is an unbelievably good transfer from what I've seen. It doesn't put in this much research. The transfer planner told her not to do Voltemada to Thiago, and she didn't listen to that, so she'll be happy with the result of that. So we have a look at Minte. So does he have double game week? No. Does he pass the eye test? Yep. He's a set piece taker. He does take a couple of corners. He's not on pens. Is his goal involvement above 50%? Yes. What's his XGI? So this is a key one, right? So this is where this kind of thing is useful, because actually, if we're taking 0.4 as a yardstick for a decent XGI, or Minter isn't anywhere near that. You can see here on the right, it's 0.26, and we talked about that just a minute ago. So he doesn't get any points for that. That's not essential, essentially. For a player who's in great kind of attacking form. You wouldn't captain him. Do we create a lot of chances where 1.65 is, I had a look at the top 4, or was it top 6? I think it was top 6 over the last sort of 5 years, and they basically the top teams are creating an XG of 1.65, and then top 10 teams are 1.15. Is that right, or was it top 4 and top 6? Let me check. It's here. It was, top 10 and top 6. Yeah, I was right originally. So top 10 teams create 1.15 XG. Top 6 teams create 1.65. Brighton at 1.45, so somewhere in the middle. I think his price is increasing slowly, so we'll give him that. He's got 5 attacking returns. Fixtures, so they're 12th according to the Scout ticker. So he doesn't get any points for these, so he hasn't got amazing fixtures. And again, this is quite a big weighting of scores that you can see here. He doesn't get DEFCON, he's not a bonus point magnet and all that. So actually, when you look at the transfer rating for Minte, he only comes in as an okay transfer in. So this is a good transfer overall. I mean, mostly pushed by the fact Sarr is obviously injured, but it doesn't massively suggest that Minte is this incredible pick. Minte is a bit of a one for the purists. He's a bit of the one that goes against the algorithms and the things, because he's an eye test player. You watch him and you want him, but the stats and other bits don't necessarily think that he's gonna be amazing. If you compare him to someone like Ndiaye, for example, let's put Ndiaye in. So Ndiaye's on penalty, so obviously he gets the big boost of that. So Ndiaye does pass the eye test. I don't think he takes set pieces. He does take pens. His goal involvement isn't great. His XGI doesn't even fit into one of the main things here. The team attack is low. Not really good fantasy returns. Okay, so actually it's coming out with saying Ndiaye is a poor transfer in at the moment. So there you go. So if you did Gakpo instead of Minte, it should in theory be excellent. Right, let's have a look. Gakpo. Good point. So he passes the eye test, not on set pieces, not on pens. He's 50% of the goals, 0.69. So he's... Oh, no, he was a little bit over that, wasn't he? He was 0.75. Where is Gakpo on here? Gakpo... I've got him at 0.69 on this sheet, but I think he was a bit more. Let me check let me just go back to the table. Mids. He's 0.76, so he does get the top one. Let's put him there. You wouldn't captain him. The team is 1.67, so that's a little bit higher. His price is increasing. He does have good fantasy returns. He's in the top 6 fixtures. Not a bonus point, but yeah, excellent transfer, essentially. So the transfer algorithm likes him a lot more than Minte, for example. I thought Minte's baseline bonus points is decent. As it is, but not at the level of like top players, which I've looked at kind of historically over the season. Anderson won't do very well on here, but yeah, I can put him in. Elliot Anderson, so doesn't really pass the eye test, does he? Does take set pieces. Oops. Doesn't take pens. Doesn't have the goal involvement. Doesn't have the XGI. Team attack is the bottom one. Price increasing, no. Doesn't have the attacking returns. Top 6 fixtures, yes. Hits DEFCON a lot. Okay. So really, Anderson is coming in and around the same as Minte for a lot cheaper as well. So I think that is a decision that some people are making, is whether they go down to like an Anderson or they go up to someone else. Transfer Checker doesn't hate Anderson, even though he doesn't really have those stats. But I really want Minte, and I really want like this spreadsheet to tell me that I should get him, but maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should have a look elsewhere. The trouble is I haven't got a lot of money to go elsewhere, so it might actually be that Minte is still the better one, to go for, even if the transfer spreadsheet doesn't tell me it's amazing. At least it's saying it's a good transfer, not a terrible one. What I want to use this for is to sense check like generally bad transfers, like Elanga, like Gibbs White that I did earlier in the season. Bruno Guimaraes, says Mario. Bruno Guimaraes, don't even know what his underlying stats are. Set piece, takes set piece. I don't think he does. Goal involvement 33. XGIS, he doesn't quite come up to it. You wouldn't captain him. Underlying stats are decent, 1.45. He does have decent attacking returns. His fixtures are good in the top 6. DEFCON potential is pretty good. Yeah, he comes out all right. Okay, again. Okay, transfer. I think this is the highest one. I think this is actually higher than the Minte and Anderson. So, yeah, Nikolai Holmes says, as a Minte from Game Week 1, I recommend it. It's fun. I'll do one more, and that's from Pete, and then I better go and let Ralph out. I'll check Declan Rice. Because I've got Declan Rice. I'm pretty happy with him. I think he passes the eye test. I think the positions he's taken up are fantastic. He takes set pieces. Goal involvement is at 27%, so he's under the 33% threshold. Interestingly, his XGI is less than 0.4 as well. Team attack data is really good, 1.72. His price is increasing. He has 3 attacking returns. His data's in the top 4. He is getting DEFCON 50% of the time. And bonus point Magla penalty over 25. He's just like that. But yeah, so he gets excellent transfer. So if you've got the money to go to Rice, then that seems to be by far the best one of the ones that we have looked at. But yeah, that's my spreadsheet. It seems to work quite well. I don't know why Gakpo's data is a little bit off. I've got slightly different formulas working on this as opposed to the normal spreadsheet. So I'll have a look at that. But yeah, if anyone's listened to all this and they want one of their attacking transfers checked, let me know. Post a message in the comments, and I will run it through the checker and let you know what it's gonna come back to. But yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Thanks for listening to ramble on. I was only gonna do half an hour. I ended up doing an hour. So I appreciate you all being here, and good luck. Hopefully the stats have helped you with your decisions ahead of Game Week 14. So a quick turnaround. Don't forget to set your teams up. Don't forget to like the stream. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Check out Fantasy Football Scout as well. I think it's the last day of their Black Friday offer too. So if you like all these stats and everything like that, then it's worth it. But yeah, I'll see you on Wednesday. It'll be me, Luke, and Andy doing a watch along for the Wednesday games. So if you fancy that, come join us. But if not, we'll be back the week after that for a regular Black Box. And I'll see you then.